Welcome to Box Recaps. Today I'm going to explain the movie Room 203, released in the year 2022. The movie starts and we see a man named Chad painting in a room. This is the room 203. As he paints, he goes on to see a hole in the wall. He puts his fingers in the hole to check it. This is when he is joined by another man named Bob. When the man sees Chad putting his fingers in the hole, he goes on to tell him that this hole is both alive and hungry, adding that there's a ghost living in the hole who wants to just eat everyone that comes near. Chad thinks that Bob is just joking and just laughs it off. Bob leaves, but Chad stays in the room because his girlfriend is coming. He then goes on to put his hand in the hole yet again, and this time he feels like his hand has been grabbed by someone on the other sides, and that someone is trying to pull him in. Chad draws his hand back out using some force, and when he sees it, he sees blood on his hand. He also finds a necklace in that hole. In the next scene, we go on to see Chad standing beside a painting in the room. This is when his girlfriend also comes in. Her name is Lena. Chad goes on to give her that necklace and shows her the painting too. Chad then goes on to bring beer for him, and when Lena is alone in the room, she starts acting weirdly. It seems as if the girl has been possessed by a spirit. When Chad comes back, he is also weirded out seeing his girlfriend like that. As he looks on, the girl goes on to slit her own throat with a sharp piece of glass, and Chad is of course horrified by that. The scene then changes to a car where a girl named Kim is shown with her parents. They're going to drop her at her friend's place. Her friend's name is Izzy, and she lives in an apartment. Kim goes on to tell her parents that she's going to be staying with Izzy for her studies, and her mother is not all happy with this decision because Kim's parents do not like Izzy at all. When she enters the building, she's welcomed by Izzy, and it turns out they're going to be staying in the room 203, the room where the incident with Chad and his girlfriend happens. They're then approached by a man named Ronan, and he goes on to show them to their room. He takes them to room 203 and goes on to tell them a few rules they're going to have to follow living in this room. Both the girls are really excited to be there, and just as Izzy is about to touch a painting in the room, Ronan tells her never to do that. Kim then gives the man the rent of the room, and Ronan leaves the room. As they hang out, Izzy goes on to notice the hole in the wall. She puts a mirror on it so that the room does not look bad. The two girls then go on to have a lot of fun, and the next day, Izzy notices the hole again. She sees that the hole has gotten bigger than the last time she saw it. Izzy puts her hand in the hole, and as Kim looks on, Izzy's hand starts getting pulled inside, as if someone is grabbing her hand and pulling her towards them. Kim helps her get her hand out of there, and later, Izzy tells Kim that she was just pulling a prank on her. She also goes on to give her the necklace she found in the hole. The two girls go to a bar that evening and go on to meet two boys named Steve and Tony. As they talk, Steve starts to touch Kim inappropriately, and she does not feel comfortable. She goes on to tell him not to do that, but he does not stop, and Izzy ends up punching him in the face. Later on, Izzy, Tony, and Kim make their way back to the apartment. Kim right away goes to her room, while Tony joins Izzy in her bed. They're just about to have sex, but Izzy passes out as she's too drunk. Tony then starts hanging out in the apartment and comes across the painting. He then sees someone passing right behind him. He's even able to see the shadow, and that scares him a little. He then goes to the bathroom, only to get stabbed by a mysterious figure, and he dies on the spot. In the middle of the night, Kim hears something, and she makes her way to Izzy's room to check what is going on. She sees the necklace on the ground. She picks it up and puts it on the table while Izzy keeps sleeping. The next morning, when the two girls wake up, Izzy is very much hungover and goes on to tell Kim that she does not know when Tony left the apartment as she passed out. This is when Kim remembers that she had to attend an orientation. She right away gets to her college, but they do not let her in. Kim then meets a boy named Ian who goes on to help her with the orientation stuff, and as they talk, she goes on to tell him that she has a friend named Izzy whose mom died recently. Izzy has been drinking a lot since then, and Kim wants to write a book on that. She tells Ian that she wants to take help from Dr. Ian in the writing of the book. Ian goes on to give Philip's contact. She makes her way back to the apartment, and it's nighttime already. She studies for a while and then gets in bed to sleep. When she's trying to sleep, she sees that there's a black hand trying to come out of the hole in the wall. She, of course, freaks out, and as she looks on, the hand disappears. and after that, someone starts to bang her door with full force. She opens the door and finds Izzy on the other side. Izzy was banging her head on the door, and it turns out she sleepwalks. Kim sees that her head is bleeding. She takes care of that and then makes her sleep with her in her own bed. The two girls sleep together, but when Kim wakes up the next morning, she sees that Izzy is not there. She goes out and finds her in her own room. She sees that Izzy is fine now and goes on to mention the incident from last night. Izzy tells her that she must be sleepwalking. Kim had found a music box last night in front of the painting, and she goes on to give that music box to Izzy as both of them sit on the couch and chat. Izzy then goes on to tell Kim that she met a casting director in the bar, adding that the man is willing to give Izzy a role in a movie. Kim is really happy for Izzy. Kim then tells her about Ian and goes on to add that she's going on a date with him. Later, Kim attends an online class where she goes on to tell Dr. Phillips that she's trying to write a book on Izzy, who has gone through many hardships in life despite still being very young. Kim then asks the doctor if it's ethically right to write that book, and the man tells her that if Izzy does not have a problem with the book, then it is of course right. Both the girls are about to go out. Izzy has to go for her audition, so she leaves before Kim. Kim goes to her room and notices the hole in the wall having gotten even bigger. She again goes on to hang a mirror on it. Kim goes to see Ian, and he asks her about the death of Izzy's mother. She tells him that the woman died of a drug overdose. This is the reason Kim's parents do not like Izzy. After her mother died, Izzy took a lot of pills, and she was hospitalized too. Kim says that this is when she decided that Izzy needed her, so she's going to be there for her every step of the way. Kim gets back to her apartment to find Ronan there. He's behaving very weirdly. Kim, however, goes to her room, and when she's sending a voice note to her parents, the mirror on the wall drops down and breaks. Kim then hears Izzy's voice, only to find out that she's with Sandy. She also steps on a glass piece, but decides to go to sleep. Kim wakes up in the middle of the night and does not find Izzy in her bed. She looks around and sees Izzy going towards the basement. As she follows her, Izzy disappears for a moment, but then comes back. Kim sees that she has the same music box in her hand. Kim tries to wake her up, and when Izzy wakes up, she starts shaking badly and ends up peeing her pants. The next day, Kim goes on to request Izzy that she needs to stop drinking. Izzy promises her that she won't drink again. Kim goes to see Ian and tells him the whole story. He says that they should investigate that place. That night, Kim brings him to the apartment. She finds Ronan in the apartment, who goes on to warn her by saying they are never to enter the basement again. Ian then looks at the painting and takes a picture of it as he notices something written in the painting, but it is in some other language. Izzy shows up. She is sad because Sandy did not show up to take her audition. Ian also sees the hole in the wall and takes a picture of that too. The two later do some research on the painting, and Ian finds out that this is Celtic writing. Kim also tells him about the necklace. They conduct further research and then go to sleep. We see Izzy in her room, who's really worried. The next day, when Izzy comes home from her outing, she finds Ronan doing something in the apartment, but ignores him. She then receives a courier, which is a book. Izzy sees that the book is about her, and she's upset about it. Kim, on the other hand, goes to see a man named Milton, who used to live in the room 203. She goes on to ask him a few questions about it, but he refuses to tell her anything, saying he does not want to talk about it. But when Kim tells him that she's living in the same room, he goes on to tell her that a man used to live there, and one day he was found in the basement with his wife. He sliced open his wife's belly and took out the baby. The kid survived, the wife died, and the man also shot himself. He, however, tells Kim that he does not know where that kid is. He tells her that many people who came to live in that room just disappeared. When Kim gets home, she sees Izzy, who is drunk again. She's angry at Kim for writing a book about her miserable life. Kim tells Izzy that she's sorry, but Izzy is angry. Kim then tells Izzy that she needs her, but Izzy makes it clear that she does not need Kim, and storms out of there. On the other hand, we see Ian in a church. He notices a painting there and realizes that there are similarities between this painting and the painting he saw in Kim's room. He sees a sign there. He searches the internet for it, only to learn that this is the sign on Morrigu, which is a demon. It is also known as the bringer of death. He leaves a voice note for Kim in which he has told her about the painting. Kim, on the other hand, sees the hole getting even bigger and starts breaking the wall. A hand falls out of it, and she panics at the horrible sight. This is when a figure comes from behind and kidnaps her. When she wakes up later on, she's been tied up, and it turns out Ronan is the one who's kidnapped her. He reveals that his parents are with Morrigu, adding that he is the son of the man who sliced open his wife's womb in the basement. The same couple Milton told Kim about. Ian, in the meantime, goes to the room 203, where he sees Izzy. She behaves weirdly, and it turns out she's been possessed. She makes Ian get in bed and sits on top of him. Meanwhile, Ronan tells Kim that his parents are the ones who brought the demon to this world, and that demon travels to her world to this world from that painting in the room. The demon uses that hole in the wall to take the soul of the people living in that apartment. Ronan is just about to stab her when she manages to get free and runs out of there. She gets back to her apartment and finds the dead body of Ian. She is horrified and tries to look for Izzy. She runs to the basement where Ronan shows up again. We see that he's been stabbed in the eye by Kim. Kim moves forward and feels a presence there. It turns out to be Ronan's dad's spirit. Ronan now has a gun in his hand. His hand, however, turns towards his own head and he ends up shooting himself. It is revealed that his dad is the one who did it because Ronan has been doing the wrong thing. Kim then finds Izzy and goes on to tell her to get rid of the necklace. Izzy is possessed, so she goes on to attack Kim. Kim manages to take the necklace off her neck, and Izzy gets back to her normal self. Kim goes to her room and breaks the painting. She is then taken to the hospital, and Izzy has also forgiven her. Kim now thinks that everything is alright since she has broken the painting, but she is wrong, as we see the demon behind that shattered painting. It is shown that room 203 is still not a normal room, and the war between the inhabitants of the room and the demon is far from over. The two girls, however, have apologized to each other, and there are no resentments between them anymore. Kim is happy, but very little does she know that the room is still haunted. With the final shot of the demon, this movie comes to an end. Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on the notification and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.